Wallace Center, and Annalena Kazikas, and I will be sharing today and also answering your questions about the FSLN mentorship program. But before we get started, some Zoom tech. You'll be muted, or ask you to mute during this portion of the call, and then we'll have time for Q&A at the end. There is, if you go to the bottom, there's a chat box. You can ask questions throughout, and we can address those as they come up and at the end as well. And then finally, you can rename yourself. If you go to the upper right corner, there's 3 dots next to your name. You can update your name there. So the format of the call today, we'll be sharing some information from Annalena and I, as well as Miles Gordon, who's one of the FSLN mentors from his perspective, as well as some past mentees we'll be sharing from their perspective, just to give you a rounded view of it as you think about applying. So to get started, wanted to share from just starting high level with the Food Systems Leadership Network and the vision. So it's a national peer learning community that connects current and emerging leaders, strengthens individual and collective leadership capacity, and fosters collaboration across communities. And the vision for this network is a group of leaders linked through a living network of shared purpose, learning, and action that advances social justice locally, regionally, and nationally. And we see the relationships developed through mentorship and the exchange that happens a key part of that vision, and also part of the goal of accelerating the relation of a just, equitable, and sustainable food system that generates good food, health, and opportunity for all. And so mentorship is really tied to that goal because these relationships contribute to the vision by developing the leadership capacity of individuals, increasing confidence in various skills, as well as building meaningful and lasting relationships across the movement. A lot of times, what started through this program, relationships continue throughout, and they serve and they feed the movement as a whole. It also creates a space for reflection and sharing from seasoned leaders, and encourages them to share perspective with mentees. So they're hearing from mentees. Some have had 12 mentees across the years, and so now have a great perspective from those deep relationships they can share and can be encouraging to mentees. So the specific goals of the program are building those relationships of solidarity, creating space for reflection and sharing, and also strengthening systems leadership and other capacities of food systems leaders working on social change. Some of the statistics to date, so we started in 2018, and we've had 4 cohorts of just over 100 mentees. And across the board, people feel more confident in their leadership capacity and planning to make changes to their practice of some sort after mentorship. So it's been an effective tool for us and program for us to share with the network to reach some of those goals. Let's see. We could mute, there we go. We also, in the FSLN, we advocate for leadership in every seat. And that's something that, so it's not just the mentor is the leader, but the mentee also has leadership capacity. And so we recognize everyone has their unique talents and aspirations, regardless of their position or age or any demographic. So both mentors and mentees have capacity, and there's mutual learning through mentorship. So it reinforces that leadership in every seat. And it's something that Malik Yakini, another one of the mentors, speaks about, is that he learns as much from mentees as they do from him, and that it's really a two-way street. So it's not just one-way, one-sided conversation as far as the exchange. These are some of the words that mentees have used to describe mentorship at the end of their time, and you'll see supportive is the top one. So it's just being supported by a partner, thought-provoking, productive, refreshing. So those are some of the things that come out of it, and wanted to emphasize too, just from seeing those words, but also just to say that it's different than technical assistance. This is not coming to someone with a problem and asking them to give you the solution. Even though the mentors may have their own set of solutions and things, the mentor is focused on drawing that out of the mentee. So it's relationship based. Mentees consistently say that their mentor served as a sounding board for them, and that the the solutions and answers really reside ultimately in the mentee. And as I said, mentors are learning. The chance to share and to try to condense their learning to a mentee is an opportunity for them to learn and grow as well. So this is the mentor for spring of 2021. We've got 10 mentors. There's 7 that are returning. And then we've also brought on some new mentors to serve. Karen Washington, Zach Ducheneau, and Niaz Dory are joining the mentors cohort and bring a wealth of skills to the cohort. We're really excited to partner with them as well. And now I'll hand it over to Annalena to talk more about what to expect.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Andrew. Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm Annalena. I work with Andrew at the Wallace Center. I'm going to be helping him out with coordinating the mentorship program this year. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about what you can expect out of the program, and then we'll hear from some past mentees and mentor about their experience and get into some questions around the application process. So the mentorship program is a 4-month program. It runs from mid-February through mid-June. And over the course of those 4 months, you receive 8 hours of one-on-one time with your mentor. There's no strict way for setting up that schedule for mentorship pairs. The whole program is designed to be super flexible and to work for both the needs and contexts of you and your mentor. So the two of you can work together to figure out what structure works the best for you in terms of how frequently you meet, whether you're talking on the phone or by Zoom, and how long your calls will be for. But one thing we do want to emphasize here is that, just because it is this 8-hour commitment, there's also likely going to be some significant time spent outside of those 8 hours applying what you're learning to your practice and to your growth. So when you think about how much time you have to commit to this program, we kind of like to say that a rule of thumb is add in at least 1 additional hour in between these calls. So when you are thinking of applying, just making sure that you have the capacity and energy to commit to this program. So one other expectation or thing that the Wallace Center hosts here are kickoff and debrief calls with the mentee cohort. These are great ways to connect with other mentees, share how it's going for you, do some cross-learning, and make new connections. And we do that halfway through the program as well. So some topics that mentees have worked on, it's pretty broad ranging. Organizational leadership, topics like strategic planning and fund development, or more on the personal leadership side. And then, anything from developing and integrating racial equity frameworks into your work. But like what Andrew was saying before, the focus is more on that relationship and supportive development, not necessarily technical assistance, even though, of course, the nature of the job is that technical is a big part of it. And so, of course, you will be able to receive technical support. But it's not primarily geared towards that, really focused on the holistic development of you as a leader. So I'm wondering right now, Andrew, I don't know if Marcus or Tasha are on the line, but did you see them come in?
I believe
Maybe, but
Marcus
I'd
is
love
here.
to open it up to some past mentees. So Marcus or Tasha or another mentee, if you're on the line, do you want to share a little bit more about what your experience was and maybe what you focused your mentorship on? I think I saw Marcus.
Hey, everyone. Shout out
Hi.
to everyone for taking part in this call today. And thanks to both Andrew and Annalena for having me here today and having me as a part of this mentorship opportunity. This was a great experience for me. I was partnered with Rich Pirog of the Center for Regional Food Systems at Michigan State University. And so I'm at Louisiana State University. And so in learning food systems and learning how to kind of navigate a university or a land grant setting, being partnered with Rich was an awesome experience because we're at 2 different ends of our spectrum. And so the experiences that he has gone through and he's learned and he's navigated and he's been successful in are things that I'm going to eventually have to do over the next several years. And so It was a great partnership for us, and I do emphasize partnership and relationship because when we did our calls, it was a two-way street. And and Rich said this about the situation was that he learned as much from me as I learned from him. And so I emphasize that because, if you're selected to be a part of the program, when you go into the partnership and the relationship with your mentor, keep in mind that you bring something to that conversation too, and to be able to drive that two-way conversation. And how we structured what we did was we outlined 7 topics. And so we had 7 topics, and each time we met, we had a specific topic that led our discussion. And whether, we spent, the first 10 or 15 minutes talking about the topic and then going off on a rant, we at least had some goals that we wanted to achieve. And I think it worked out well. And I think that by virtue of participating in this program, Rich and I have been able to develop a professional relationship. And so we are doing work together in a number of other arenas, and even to the perspectives where I can use Rich as a reference later on for some things, and just a partner and a collaborator in some of the work that I'm doing. And so I don't think that relationship would have been possible without this program. And it's funny because Rich is someone whose work I've been following for a number of years. And I was kind of curious as to how I was going to, make that connection and that relationship with him. And this program allowed me to be able to do that.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you so much for sharing that, Marcus. Yeah, I think that's a really good point. The picking out the topics that you want to discuss with your mentor, that's really important to make the productive conversations and a productive entire program too. And one other thing that, like, thinking about the application and finding the mentor that works for you, like, really take the time to think about what you're looking for, and then which one of the mentors can really have those skills and expertise that really match yours and can strengthen yours. So yeah, really get familiar with the different mentors, their bodies of work, and really take some time to get to know them as much as you can via the internet. But that will really help both the matching process and the entire program too. So I think before getting into okay, one more quick thing about some application tips here is, who is this for? We get some questions around, I work for, or I'm new to my career, can I participate, or whatever. The mentorship program is definitely geared towards folks who are already in their careers and not just starting out. Some mentors are interested in working with mentees who have more established careers than others, who are open to working at mentees in all stages. But a common thread is that this program is best for folks who do have some experience under their belt and are really just looking to take their work to that next level and do some refining and improving. So most applicants or most mentees also have a pretty solid understanding of and experience in food systems, but there is definitely an opportunity to, if you're switching fields, that this might help you get a better foundation too. So as you'll see in the application, and we'll talk more about some of those requirements, there is space to really elaborate and to reflect on why you're seeking mentorship and what you're hoping to get out of it. We really encourage you to take some time to think about that and think it through, because we really do read all of these applications and are very intentional about going through each very thoroughly. So then once, I guess we'll talk a little bit about the application process and then hear from a mentor. But like I said, the Wallace Center, after you submit your application and this capacity matrix, which helps talk about your organization and get familiar with your organization, the Wallace Center will screen the applications and then send those through to the mentors, who will then make the final matching decision. So it's sort of like a self-matching system, which is why it's really important to take the time to get to know who you want to work with and what you want to work on. It helps the mentors get a better sense of who you are as a person too. And they make the final selections. So with that said, we do have Miles Gordon here, a mentor with Kitchen Table Consulting. And he's been with the FSLN as a mentor since its inaugural round about almost 3 years ago now. So Miles, I was just wondering if you wanted to, offer some application tips or maybe share what kind of information is useful for you as you read through the applications and get to know the different mentees.
So hi everyone. Yeah, thanks for having me on today. And I just want to emphasize kind of what Marcus was saying, that this is a really great opportunity. I know in my world, working in a nonprofit and community food systems and others, it's go, go, go. There's usually very little time to stop and reflect and think. And to have that time where you put everything aside, you get to really focus on yourself and have somebody like us as mentors to be able to sort of hold up a mirror and really help reflect and work through where you are and where you want to go, either professionally in the current position you're in, or maybe just in your professional trajectory, is a unique opportunity. So if you're looking at this, pay attention to deadlines, get it in and make it happen, because it's a really worthwhile program. And they said, one of the things Anna, Lena, and Andrew said is like, what would you recommend for people on applications? And because since we read them and sort of say, who do we want to pair up with, what's really helpful is for you to be really clear how you currently see yourself, not only in your work, like who am I in my work? Like what's my position? How do I see myself in this position? And then in the trajectory you're going for, like where do I see myself going? So kind of know who you are in your space right now in your work and clearly lay that out. As if I picked up this application off the ground and I could read it and know exactly who said it. It wouldn't be a general. I get who you are. And then if there's a challenge or an opportunity, either in your current capacity or maybe your desired next step, or even if it's outside of your current work, but you're thinking your own professional development, really be as clear as you can about like, this is my challenge, or here's an opportunity coming up, and I really want to explore that. So really lay those out in the application about who you are right now and where you see yourself going, either in your current work, or even if it's outside. A lot of time we spend with people, and it's okay if you're saying, I've been doing it in this organization, but I'm thinking of my next step in the food systems world. And that's an opportunity for you to use this mentorship also to really work on your own professional development, because again, you typically don't get that opportunity in the nonprofit world, or maybe where some of you are. And you don't have to have the answers. That's the whole purpose of this, is we're here to help you develop your answers and to ask those questions and have that space and time to come to the answers for who you want to be in this space and moving forward. So I guess just as a generality, those are some of the things I would say now. And I don't know if there's some more specific ones that come up. I see a question came up, but that wasn't necessarily from me in the chat, is there? I don't know, anything else, Annalena or Andrew, you'd want me to touch on, or not sure if you're taking questions now or later?
I think we'll have some Q&A in a minute, but I think that was a really good overview, that it's not just about your work, it's about who you are as a person and where are you looking to grow and to grow into, and how, like, where are those hiccups along the way that you might need some sounding board and some questions asked that you can help get through.
Yeah. And I would just echo what Marcus also said, is I've got ongoing professional relationships with several of my past mentees. We've collaborated on projects since. So it's a great opportunity to connect across kind of the spectrum of community food systems work nationally too. I've made connections between other mentees, so the mentors, we also connect with each other and pass mentees around for resources. So it's you become part of a larger network. And it's not just the one-on-one, but you have a real opportunity to take it to the next level nationally too, with different opportunities.
Great. Well, thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks. I wanted to also, sorry, Annalena, I wanted to also invite Karen Washington to share. I know this is your first time serving through this mentorship program, but just a little bit about who you're really seeking to partner with through this. Oh, and you're muted.
So I'm muted. Yeah, happens. I'm Karen Washington, so I'm a farmer, but I'm also working in the realm around food. So really looking for someone who wants to think outside the box and really look in terms of food system and equity I also want to be able to be a good listener. I don't want to be able to have someone that figure that I can mold them or clone them. I really want to be there to help them move along in their career, or if someone is changing a specific career and want to know more about food systems and equity and up to the challenge, to sort of talk about what that would look like. Yeah, I want to hear from those people that want to maybe do system change or really are stuck in where they are, and they heard about what food justice and food sovereignty, these words that people throw around but really don't know what it means, and to have that heavy conversation about how to look at food systems broadly, but also then how to tear them down and really look at what equity means, what racial injustice means. And so I'm here for those that want to take that challenge. So thanks for having me here today.
All right, yeah, thank you so much for sharing that and for joining in. We're excited to partner with you. All right, and Elena, back to you. One thing I wanted to mention too here, we didn't have specifically, but the timeline for actual mentorship would be from February 15th to June 15th. So it's that's the period when you'll actually be, if you're in the program and match, that's when you'll be really active in mentorship and committing time.
Yeah. Well, thank all of you guys for sharing all of that. It's, this is a really pretty amazing opportunity to connect with the mentor, and then also, like what Miles was saying, to connect with other mentees, other mentors, and really like develop another network to lean into. So just some quick those application requirements. Most of those are up on our website, so please do visit there for the details. But just high level, in addition to a SurveyMonkey application, we do require folks to complete an organizational capacity assessment, which probably sounds a lot more intimidating than it actually is. It is a series of questions that get around some of the core elements of organizations, and these just help the mentor get a better sense of the organization that you're at. Even though this is about you, it does help to give them some context. Two other questions that we often get are around, do you have to be working at a 501c3 nonprofit? And no, you do not have to be affiliated with a 501c3. The opportunity is available to staff of nonprofits, fiscally sponsored projects under 501c3s, and mission-driven food and farming businesses. And if you have any questions or if there's a gray area, Andrew and I are always available to help answer those questions. We do prioritize applicants who identify as people of color and who serve and work in Black, Indigenous, and or people of color communities, and those who work or serve historically disinvested and excluded communities. So please do consider applying as well, and sharing out this application broadly, or this application opportunity as well. Another thing that I just wanted to mention around application 2, which just came to us this year, and it's a new addition, and I think it's really great, but there are definitely areas that don't have, and people who don't have access to high-speed internet, and maybe applying online isn't, accessible to you or to someone who who may be interested in applying. And so please either contact us or have them get in touch with Andrew or myself, and we can work with them to create a new type, a different application for that purpose. We really want to make sure that everyone who is interested in applying has the same opportunities to do so. So I think that the next slide here, Andrew, is mostly the timeline. So the applications are open for about another month, so into early January. And then we will send those through to mentors shortly after, so that by the end of January, mentees will be notified. And then the mentorship program runs from February 15th through June 15th. So that's kind of the, that's the mentorship program in a quick nutshell there. But there have been some questions that have come through the chat box that we can try and get at, or Andrew, if you wanted to add in some other details.
No, I think we can go to the questions that have come in. There was one about how many applications we get. It's been 70 to 80 applications, and then we can accept 30. Each mentor works with 3 mentees, so there's 30 spots. And there have been some cases in the past where a team applied, usually just like one of those per round, but where 2 people work with 1 mentor. For some reason that it makes sense to do that together, but it's for the most part it's one-on-one, with opportunities for connecting as a cohort if that's appropriate if the group seems like it would benefit from that. You can feel free to throw other questions in the chat, or if there's any, you can unmute and ask something.
One thing that I will just say that Miles just reminded me of is that he's done mentorship in Spanish. So if that is also an option for folks as well. All right, are there any other questions, comments?
I'll just ask my question since I think it'll be easier. Hi, I'm Angeli. I work at Propeller in New Orleans. And my supervisor was actually a past mentee. And so we were just wondering, does that preclude me from applying, or is that fine?
No, yeah, that's fine. If you're from the same organization, you can definitely be eligible to apply. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
And I'm going to drop the link to the website where you can find more information about this program and get the application link as well. This is part of the Wallace Center's Food Systems Leadership Network, which just launched our new website. So encourage you to sign up for our newsletter and join that platform to find out other opportunities and get engaged with your peers in that capacity. And that's where this mentorship program lives. And I just sent that link to Miles, not to the whole group. There we go. So that link should be coming through to everyone now.
There's another question here about can more than one person from an organization apply? And I think to spread the opportunity, we wouldn't probably have 2 mentees separately from one organization, like at the same time. So you could both apply. We'd probably just select one, or you can decide yourself. So, but just to know that we probably would want to spread it out between organizations, since we do get so many applications each year. And there's no cost to participate. That's all covered, and so the mentor's time, and then also the support from the Wallace team. But there's a cost of your own time to commit. That's the main thing. And the last thing I'll close with on this, then this picture reminds me of it, is that it's really about relationships first. And so with the mentorship and getting started, it's always about getting to know each other and not diving. It's not, like I said, it's not technical assistance. You're not diving into your project first. You're getting to know each other's background and trajectory, and then getting into the work. Oh, examples of technical. That could be something like, is it fundraising? Like I need to raise this much money by this time. Tell me what to do. Or we are starting a new program. We're building a food hub. Tell me what all the specs that I need. And like kind of that extractive model of technical assistance, where you just want someone to provide, and it's not based on an exchange. It's not as much the topic as the approach to it. But I think to that question of strategic planning and fund development, there is, if it's your strategy around fundraising and you're back and forth about how you do that, I think that's in the spirit of it. And Miles, you can chime in on that as well if you have anything to add.
Yeah, I mean, for somebody who was, say, I'm going in the strategic planning process, it would be, well, tell me why, what's the purpose? You know, we ask a lot of questions that help hone and get to that. So help you think through your processes by asking questions rather than saying, you should do this, this, and this, and this. And sometimes we might connect you with resources. If you like say, I have no idea, well, hey, these might be some resources for you to look at, and then we can come back and discuss those. But that's, I think, that difference that Andrew was talking about. It's not just like, hey, can you design my strategic plan process for me? It's let's do this together, and it's a lot of questions we usually ask to get you to think about how you would do it and what's important and why you're doing it and what are the different steps you're planning on taking and why are you going to take those steps. So it's more of that process. I hope that helps a little bit.
All right, thanks, Miles. And I recognize we're at time that we had set for this, but we're happy to stay and answer any of your questions. So I'll stay in the line, but don't want to hold it on over if you've got something to get to. So thank you all for coming today to the session and for your interest in the program. But I saw, Emma, you have your hand up.
Yes, hi, I'll make it quick. So I'm part of my husband and I are fishermen in Alaska, and we sell our fish direct to individuals and restaurants. We're definitely a mission-driven food business, and we live off the grid, so we're really interested in just being sustainable on a whole. My question specifically is, how would I find more information on the mentors to know who would be one of the best fits? Because I do feel like we're sort of isolated in Alaska. I'm not sure how much fishing businesses are apart. I know Nayaz is definitely a fisher. So that's my question.
Yeah, you can go to the, it's a great question. On the website, each mentor has a profile. So from that link that Annalena sent, you can click on each of their pictures or their links, and then it has their bio and who they're sticking to work with and their areas of expertise. So
Okay.
that's, yeah, I'd recommend that. And then you can also reach out to Annalena or myself if you have more questions about who's the best fit or your approach.
So it doesn't seem too far out for someone in our realm to apply for this, even though we are pretty isolated out here?
No, I don't think so. And that's a new aspect of this. It's not solely limited to nonprofit organizations. So we're exploring that, and mission-driven food businesses are part of what we want to support and bring into the community. So yeah, definitely. All right, any other questions?
Andrew, there was this question here from Leah about the group of 2 to 4 applying. And is it better to select 1 or 2 to apply for individual mentoring rather than a full group? What are your thoughts on that?
I think I have a similar question. I mean, I would apply on my own as well, but I'm in Kansas City and I co-manage a program with another person. So I think it could be interesting if both of us met with a mentor since we're working on the same program.
I think, yeah, and that's one example of how it's worked in the past. People that were co-leaders did mentorship together, and sometimes it was together and sometimes it was individual, but it's still just, you'd have about 8 hours with the mentor to separate out. And I think to Leah's question, we haven't taken that approach before, but I think you can go ahead and apply, and if it looks good, we'll share it with the mentors, and maybe they might want to try that as a group. It's a little different. Miles is unmuted. I don't know if you want to say anything
I was
about
just going to
that.
say what's happened. I've had a situation before in the past where they were co-managers on a program, and one of them was the mentee. We did the primary work. It involved a lot of pieces, but there was 1.5 sessions where we invited the other manager in to work on, to like really think through a certain piece or a sticky piece. And I thought that was really good because, 8 hours, it's significant, but it can get diluted if there's too many issues and too many things. And it's really nice to be able to go deeply with somebody around processes or where they're at. And then if it gets to a certain area, it's like, I really want to think through this with my partner and you, then bring them in for maybe one of the sessions or a half a session or 1.5. So that's worked well. I know I'm not discouraging a whole time using 2 people, but from an experience doing something that approach has worked well.
All right, yeah, thanks, Miles. All right, well, I hope that clarified for everyone about some of your questions and also just in general. But thanks for coming, and we'll look forward to seeing your applications.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.